Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice Friday morning over here. It's the end of the week and a week that has been actually kind of fraught with peril. So I wanted to follow up on some of the higher term time frame ideas that we've been espousing over the past week and how that kind of affects things coming in today's closure and then also the next week to come. Actually, really the next 2 weeks to come, that is. So without further ado, let's just jump into it right now. Should probably quickly let you know that I've been posting like a madman recently on Instagram. So if you do happen to give a fuck about such things, then there is a link in the description below. Sometimes I do like an intraday update there. It's just very easy to kind of get out. All right, sweet. So let's start it off right on over here. This is the big signal that we've been kind of following for a while now. We've seen several of it even in the past few months here, and it is once again the volatility, which is represented by this moving metric that my cursor is currently trading, versus stochastic momentum. And actually this is the volatility of stochastic momentum in case you happen to care. And most importantly with this, anytime that we do see it get down to extreme lows, which I define as basically anything similar to what you see on these green vertical bars right here. And again, we're talking about these guys right here, here, and here. The expansion phase from those extreme lows has led to an average move of about 28.85% done over the course of 10 days, just over 10 days, I'd say. And the stochastic momentum also has gone the correct direction on that volatility expansion just under 89% of the time. So this is extremely relevant right now simply because the volatility of stochastic momentum is very clearly expanding right here over the past couple of days. So this is the signal, so to speak. And why do I care about it right now? Well, the stochastic momentum oscillator continues to remain above the momentum pivot. The pivot has now changed from yesterday, which was just below $23,000 to now just above 23,000 bucks, 23,073 to be exact. So as long as Bitcoin is closing above there, you know, still kind of have to favor the upside, at least from a statistical narrative as far as we look at right here. Here's the thing though, it can of course fail as we have seen in the past. And while no one bats an eyelash when, you know, they work out like the last few times that we've seen over here, people get very, very mad when, you know, when it doesn't work out, which will inevitably be happening, of course. An basically an 89% hit rate in the past does not mean that 100% certainty, of course, in the future. So in this case, you know, the momentum, you know, as long as it remains to the upside, I do still favor that from a statistical perspective. Obviously, it's not me favoring, it's just what the statistics say. But in this case, assuming that Bitcoin is not closed below that momentum pivot today, I'd still be looking at this signal as relevant, so to speak. Now, here's the thing. Let's play around with this average move that we have espoused over here, as that, again, is going to be relevant either to the upside or the downside. That's, you know, everyone's favorite thing. It can go up or down, right? And of course, it can go up or down, like no shit. But in this case right here, I do think that it's rather interesting that if we were to add about, you know, 29% to the upside here, which is, you know, essentially where that's at, that'd put Bitcoin exactly at the last major gap that we have seen from June, the June breakdown from about 30,000 or 29,000 bucks down to our current lows. And in this case, that would also be confluent with the 786 Fibonacci retracement right here, right below 29,000 bucks. Of course, there would be areas of interest along the way if Bitcoin even were to get up there, which would be the 618 at 26,300. And then of course we saw 25,000 yesterday, but we already, we kind of spoke about the one yesterday. We did say that, hey, short term is likely a pullback. Didn't really get pullback targets on it, however. Now, here's the thing. If this were to occur to the downside, where essentially would that put Bitcoin? And is it confluent with anything else? Well, in this case, let me take everything off right here and let's just see what shaving off about 30% off of current price action would look like. That put Bitcoin on new lows for CME, that is 17,500 to be exact. Obviously, spot price action is already kind of seen that area. So, you know, depends upon how you kind of look at it. But I do think that things get a lot more interesting when I bring you over to this chart over here. So yesterday, we briefly looked at daily BBWP. BBWP also measures volatility, but from a different angle, not using stochastic momentum, but in this case, well, using the BBWP, or sorry, using BBs, Bollinger Bands. In this case, you know, we have seen several iterations where it has gotten extremely low, which, by the way, we're just getting into right now. So this one is not expanding as of this current moment in time, but it is on extreme low, similar to what we saw back on over here during the June drop, during the May drop, during the December drop, both December drops, I should say, and the November drop as well. So what am I looking at right now? Well, what I've done is I've done yet another statistical analysis of all of these drops, which, by the way, are different. They actually are different than the prior chart that we just looked at. And found that Once we do see expansion from these levels, which by the way is not happening right now, this one just got down to like base level. As you can see, it's like literally at, you know, basically it's like below 2 percentile right now, and it can stay there for days. To be fair, the average move taken from those extreme lows on volatility has been about 25.25%. So that's very comparable to what we saw back on over here. The days a little bit different, but gives us a bit of a range, as I would say on the average move as well. So the average days for the prior one was right here, 10 days. In this case, for the one that I'm presenting right here, 14.5 days. So it does give us a bit of a time frame. This is basically around end of month, 10 to 14 days. Yeah, it puts us around the 22nd to like basically the end of August. So, you know, I do expect that Bitcoin's going to have, you know, a relatively big move either to 29 or basically down to like 18, 17 and a half, something like that. If we were to apply this average move to the upside, just out of curiosity, what would it essentially be saying? It would be saying, well, 25% puts you where? Puts you actually basically around the same areas, to be fair. Doesn't really do too much difference here, to be honest with you. Yeah, it puts you in like the 28s or so. Again, same areas of interest along the way. To the downside, 25% would put you at $18,500, which Bitcoin's kind of already traded around there. So that should be kind of, you know, interesting for a potential double bottom. So again, that's kind of what's at stake right now. Of course, if you're a trend trader, you're going to be looking at this as bearish. If you're a perma bull, you're going to be looking at this as bullish, as always, of course. But as far as momentum oscillators go, again, the Bulas still have this in their court over here. So I do think that that is, you know, worthy of notice. And then there's a few other things that actually do support the downside case. So of course, you know, this is not very viable in the way that I'm presenting it right now, but what we're going to do at the end here is come up with how do you actually validate which side is going to win out. I think the upside is obviously a lot more obvious, you know, just closing above the fucking range highs, which would be a daily closure above about 24,500. So there you go. But before that, I should note that on 12-hour RSI, there is 1, 2, 3, 4 drives of bearish divergence building right here. But just as we observed on the daily, I guess it wasn't on the, oh, sorry. Yeah, it was on, it was on spot price action. But when you see bearish divergence in the shallow end of the bullish control zone, it's usually not that strong. So that'd be my kind of counterpoint to that. I wouldn't, you know, I would kind of dissuade it in that case, to be fair. But here's the thing, on the daily, there is potential bearish divergence as well. Same issue here, to be fair. But in this case, how would you actually confirm bearish divergence? Thus, you know, likely confirming the bearish scenario for this overall. It's very clear here, very, 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 very clear here. It's the same levels that we've been looking at for basically since the start of August. So the past couple weeks, or actually even going back to even late July, and that is 23,500 and change. So as long as Bitcoin's above there, you can still make a bit of a Bula-ish case. Below there, this gets confirmed as a local high, bearish divergence. Momentum also start to turn down, of course. And then if we go through it over here, you will see that the 12-hour stochastic momentum oscillator would turn down below that level. Daily would not upon closure today, but that would that level would change coming into Monday, so it would have a chance from there, you know, one step at a time, obviously. And then once we go down the list here, you know, short-term timeframes are still under pressure. 4-hour time frame still shows downside momentum as long as Bitcoin's below 24,760. That's on CME, by the way. 6-hour shows downside as long as Bitcoin's below basically the same number, 24,650. The 3-hour is also going to be showing downside as long as Bitcoin's below 24.5, so, you know, quite far away right now. And hourly is going to be flippy floppy and up as long as Bitcoin's above 23.9. So in this case, what does that likely amount to? Amounts to a little bit of sideways. And then the question is, does Bitcoin hold that pivot or not? Does it hold 23.5 on this downside pressure right now or not? If it does, okay, well, you know, the Bulas still have a lot of things in their favor, to be fair. However, it would be validated for an actual breakout, CME closure above range highs here. So basically about 24.5 or so. Or if you want to be super conservative, which fair enough, you know, to each their own, obviously, $25,000 would be the area to be watching, I suppose. But until then, you know, I'm kind of just waiting back for an actual resolution of this, as we're likely looking at a pretty big move, you know, 25% plus, somewhere around there. So I'm looking for first a confirmation of which side is likely to win out, and then just jump on that side. Yeah, I'll probably miss like the first 5, maybe even 10% of the move, but that's completely fine when we're talking about, you know, multi-$1,000 moves here. Don't need to get too damn greedy. So ultimately, I think that's a good good place for me to leave off on this video. Should probably let you know, as I've been uploading an options playlist recently for Bybit options. They're offering 50% off of trading fees if you trade options there, which there is a link in the description below for that promotion. What else? Oh yeah, that's one thing that I wanted to get into. Is it over here? No, it's not over here. But if you're looking for funding, and if you want to trade and you're looking for funding, like you just want more equity to trade with, Funded Futures Network, who's actually started by one of the guys in this community, he's part of a team there, obviously not just him, is now live. So I made a video about it like a few weeks ago, kind of announcing that it would be, they're getting ready to do something. Now they've officially gone live. So if you are looking for that, basically the deal is, and there's more to it, but basically the deal is you pass their assessment, meaning that you trade like a demo account for, I think it's like a couple weeks. If you pass their assessment, up to their standards, then they will give you funding dependent upon, your stats essentially. So there will be a link in the comment section or in the description, wherever it makes sense best. And I think that's a good place for me to sign off. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.